signals and trading opportunities provided both orally, written, or electronically to disclose to visitors or subscribers are for educational demonstration purposes only. Optimized Trader takes no responsibility for any participation by visitors or subscribers in the futures, forex, or stock markets, nor for any profits or losses that may be incurred. Everyone understands that trading is risky and a person can lose a substantial amount of money. Therefore, the participation in these markets is not for everyone. Carefully consider your financial position before taking a trade. Do your own due diligence. You may want to consult a financial advisor. Optimized Trader is not a registered financial advisor and is not a commodity trading advisor. And with that said, what I want to go on to do is show our automated trading system, or a bot. And I think it really is a second generation tool, not only because of its performance, but because of its configurability. I mean, it's going to allow you to do things that you just can't do with any other automated system. And it trades with amazing specificity. Now, when it comes to an automated trading tool, what's really the only thing that matters when you boil it all down? And it's really performance. I mean, if you walk away from the system and you let it trade, and then you come back, what are you going to see? I mean, is it going to put a smile on your face, or your eyeballs going to roll into the back of your head? That's really all that matters. So I thought the first thing that I would show is performance. Then I'm going to go on to show you a little bit of configurability. Then I'm going to show you some of the components of the system and show you the trades it takes. There are 3 configurable trades. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, and this is really not, these are the settings for the E-mini, but essentially almost every component of the system is configurable. Now we're going to provide you with a template for multiple markets. The E-mini, the NASDAQ, crude, and gold. And we're going to give you our recommended targets or stops, but you can also tweak it. It has a session loss limit. There's so many parameters here that I just really don't want to go into them unless you come aboard, except to tell you that it can trade any instrument on any time frame. Now we're going to provide you with configurable templates, and if you're really interested in trading an additional market, we'll create an additional template for you. But it's going to come complete with these templates. Now, what we did was we looked at the results based on these inputs for the time period of 10/1 through 11/12. Now, remember, this is a fairly new tool. It's an upgraded system that was created in 2018. And the best way to show you how it did is simply to take the entries it took right off of NinjaTrader. Now here's the NinjaTrader results for crude oil from 10/1 to 10/11. It had a net profit of $4,100, $7,900 in gross profit, $3,700 in gross losses. And it traded with a win percentage of 84.21%. And this is the equity curve it created. And these are the entries right off of Ninja. And that's its equity curve. On 2 contracts, it created $4,200 worth of profit during that time from 10/1 to 11/12. Now, here's the E-mini S&P 500. It doesn't get many perfect setups because we have so many stringent requirements for the E-mini, for all of the markets actually. So from 10/1 to 11/12, it created $2,787.50 worth of profit, traded with a 78.75% win percentage, based on the inputs that we have placed here that we would also provide you with. Here's the equity curve for that period of time. Now, the NASDAQ, I hope this is the NASDAQ, and I didn't mess this up. Hold on one second here. I don't think, I think I have I may have the wrong slide, but it's coming out as $2,580 worth of profit, win percentage of 84.55%. Now, I think I'm showing the wrong slide because I believe the NASDAQ had almost $10,000 in profit. But here's the curve. Just like that. And then gold, $2,580 worth of profit. There's only trading 2 contracts. Traded 84.55%. And here's the equity curve. This is right off of the back end of Ninja. We did not modify or touch a single thing based on the entries it took over the time period that I showed you. Whoops, that's the offer. So what I want to do is take this down, because I wanted to show you the kind of profit that it can create for you and the kind of specificity that it creates if we look at all the things that we need to. Now, what I want to do is now so many components to this, is show you this is the actual, this is not a JPEG. Here's the actual, and let me drop these. Excuse me, well, I can't do that right now. Hang on one second here. I'm gonna close that out, drop these. You're just gonna see my workspace for a little bit. I don't think I was projecting my screen, and I'm not sure that you got to see anything. And I may have to start over again because of that. I don't think I had the screen projecting. Let me go to questions to see if the screen was projecting. Hang on one second. Okay, we saw it. Okay, thank you, Ron. Yeah, great. Thanks. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Now here is a new strategy that I just brought up from this control system. Now this is the strategy for, if you look, it's for the instrument crude oil. Now all these inputs will be provided for you in the template. Now it's a real complex algorithm, and I'm going to show you some of the components of it. But the thing is, you have the ability to modify a tremendous amount of input that goes into the system if you want to. And remember, although we have it configured on 4 futures markets, you can configure it on any futures market. We'll help you with that. On any Forex market, it's going to be really simple for us to help you with that too. And also, if you want to focus in on day trading or swing trading, a stock, you can do that as well. Because the confluence of signals that are required in order to take an entry can be configured to be present on any financial instrument and on any time frame. So it really doesn't matter what you're trading. Now, here's the part where I'm just going to briefly go over some of the things that the system is going to look at. Now, I see a lot of traders in the room from my live trading room. And for them, this is going to be a little bit redundant, but there's a lot of traders here who have never seen this before. And I'm just going to really go over it briefly. Now, the core of the system is the 3-line system. And when I show you the actual software, you're going to see that it requires a lot of things to align before you can take an entry or an automated entry with very low risk and the potential for very high reward. But you're going to see some things on the system that are just totally unique, that no one has ever tried to achieve before, and that we have done successfully. Now, the first line here is the multi-time frame assessment of momentum. The second is the multi-time frame assessment of stochastic. And the third is the multi-time frame assessment of order flow. Now, order flow is a very, very difficult parameter to calculate. It has no predictive value unless it's done on a multi-time frame basis. And in fact, any indicator that assesses price action from your trading chart actually confounds its calculation. The only thing that provides it with the ability to lead price is the fact that only the 2 higher time frames are analyzed, and anything that takes place on your trading chart itself is ignored. So let's just take quickly a look at the most complex assessment, and that is order flow. Now, any market delta strip located off of your trading chart has absolutely no predictive value in telling you where price is going to move out into the future. And I can show you that really easily. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I want it to be clear what the auto is looking at. So if you want to make small adjustments, you know what you're doing. Now, this is a market delta of a positive 2,985. It looks at all the traders on the bid and ask side, and you can see that there's a way overabundance of buyers, which would indicate to you that the candle is going to close to the upside and that there's buying pressure here. This is stacked sellers, these are stacked buyers, and believe me, they don't carry any predictive value at all. Don't even, and you know, I would tell you to ignore them. Now, here's a candle with a positive delta that closes to the downside. So if you're just looking at a ribbon across the bottom where you have the absolute value of the market delta, in no way is it going to tell you the direction of price. And the reason is really simple, and that is the market delta value of each candle does not take into account the aggressiveness of the buyers or sellers. Here there's an overabundance of buyers, but the sellers are simply more aggressive. And to give you an example, if let's say a financial instrument's trading at 50, well, the buyers are only going to pay 50.1, but the sellers are willing to take not only 49.9, but 49.8, maybe even 49.7. They're so sure the market's going to fall, and they're so aggressive in the way they place their orders that even though there's an overabundance of buyers, the candle's going to close to the downside. And this is a problem that needs to be overcome in order to provide you with predictive value as to where the market's going to go. And that's why this is a graphic representation of that kind of ribbon. And it just really doesn't tell you on the right edge whether the market's going to move to the upside or it's going to move to the downside, because you can get a big positive delta on a down candle, and a down candle can be created. So this is not what we want to look at, and this is what most traders use. Again, data from your trading chart is never going to tell you where price is going to move out into the future. So what we've done is we look at order flow on the 2 higher time frames. And the 2 higher time frames are created by the algorithmic system based on the speed of your trading chart. If you're trading a 2-minute, it's going to look at the 6-minute, and it's going to look at the 18-minute. If you're trading a 5 range, it's going to look at the 2 higher fibs, the 8 range and the 13 range. No matter what you're doing, its algorithm is set to look at the 2 higher time frames only and totally ignore the delta values of the candles on your trading chart. And then in order to get rid of the candles that have a delta in the opposite direction, now that's one standard deviation's worth of data works. So what we do is we have to kick out the outliers. So we put each of those delta values into a 15-period smooth, simple moving average. So really what we're looking at is the value of the market deltas over 15 different candles. And it's the slope of these 15-period lines on the 2 higher time frames that tell you whether there's significant buying pressure or significant selling pressure in the market. We totally ignore any market delta values coming from the trading chart. These come off the higher time frames and they're going to lead price. And they're based on the smooth 15-period SMA slope. Now, when the 15-period SMA slopes are not in agreement, you're going to get a yellow line and you're not going to trade. The auto trader will not take a trade. Most important thing for an auto to define is chop. And it's very difficult sometimes. Now, every auto trader looks great in a trending market. Where the auto trader or every auto trader is going to really get tripped up is in a market that starts to chop. And that's where it's going to get stopped out multiple times. And what you're usually shown in a webinar is a period of time where the market's trending. But you know, if you trade the NASDAQ, for instance, then you can get radical reversals and significant chop. So you have to have a system that trades with tremendous specificity. Now, specificity, the strategy of a system that trades with specificity is to avoid losers, not to get winners. Now, the system is always going to get winners. Anyone can get a winner. My son, who's never traded the markets in his life, who's a freshman in college, can sit here and get winners. But you know what traders can't do? They can't avoid losers. And that's what separates the professional, profitable trader from the novice trader that keeps blowing up their account. And that is the ability to sidestep losers. Everybody gets winners. So now the assessment becomes very predictive of price direction. Now, again, we're trend traders, and we're only going to trade the trend. And I just broke this out just to show this specific line alone. I mean, both of those two 15-period SMAs are sloping to the upside. You've got to trade to the long side, and the auto or the bot will only trade long. When both of those 15 SMAs are heading down, the bot's only going to trade to the short side. Now, there are obviously multiple other things that have to be met, but what I want to do is break out each independent variable for you so you get an idea of what the system's looking for. Because sometimes you're going to scratch your head and say, gee, it looked like a great entry to me. How come it didn't take it? And if you don't understand what it's looking for, you're not going to be able to answer that question. Now, I'm going to be there to help you, and you're going to be in the live trading room with me for 2 months anyway. So your learning curve is going to be steep. But I want you to get a fundamental understanding of what the auto system is looking for. Here's another example. You must trade in the direction of the multi-time frame assessment of order flow. And again, you've got to, the bot will only trade long, will not trade on yellow, only trade short on red, and only trade long on green. And when it's constantly changing color, it defines chop, and it's not going to take a trade. Now, with one line alone, it's tough to define, but we're starting to put the components together, like the pieces of the puzzle together. And you can see when the line is green, price will rise. Now, it's really important to separate what you see in 99.9% of other software, and that is they analyze price on the chart. So when price rises, their line goes green. This is just the opposite. This analysis comes from the higher time frames and ignores price action on the trading chart. So the price is rising because the line is green. The line is in green because price is rising. This line doesn't even look at price on your trading chart. It's looking at the market delta assessments on the two higher time frames. Now, I took this out of order. And now the second line is an assessment of momentum. And there are all kinds of ways to look at momentum. You can look at it using a MACD. You can look at it using an oscillator. You can look at it using Heikin Ashi. There are probably even other ways to do it. But of all the ways that we've found, I really like the MACD as an assessment of momentum. Again, we don't care about the MACD on our trading chart. It is never going to lead price. It's always going to be a lagging indicator. Everyone's always tweaking the inputs and playing with it, but it is never going to tell you where price is going to go on the right edge. Only momentum based on the assessment of the two higher time frames are going to tell you that. And again, that's what we do. Now, I'm going to recommend that you trade a modified Unorenco, but you can configure this, and we'll configure it for you for a 2-minute, a 4-minute, a 10-minute, a 30-minute. If you want to swing trade, you can. Like I said, these are forces that are time frame independent. The entries are time frame independent. So it doesn't make any difference what you trade or what instrument you trade. Now, we're going to look at, and this should say MACD. And when the MACD lines are accelerating away from the signal line, both, the momentum line is going to be green. And when both MACD lines are accelerating towards the signal line, the momentum line is going to be red. And when they're not in agreement, it's going to be yellow, and the bot's always going to stand down and never take a trade. Now you combine them, and you've got two lines that have to be green, green, or red, red, in order for the auto to take a trade. When they're red, red, it will only trade short. When they're green, green, it's only going to trade long. I mean, this is part of its programming. Same thing here. Now, when there's no red, red, and no green, green, now it's easier for this system to define chop, which is really where an automated system rises or falls. I'll tell you, in a trending market, almost any system is going to make money. Where the system is going to take a drawdown and really get broken is during chop. And that's what's required to be defined. Dual order flow momentum alignment on the higher time frames, down. Up, down, up. And I'm going a little bit fast because there's so many components to the system. I don't want to get hung up too much, but I want to give you the core system, and I want to show you the system and show you the 3 entries. Now, it can keep you in for a long period of time, and we have configured in a very unique exit that I think you will have never seen before. It's the best exit that I know. We use it in the live trading room. It will maximize your profits and absolutely minimize your losses. And as long as order flow and momentum stay to the upside, price is going to rise. Now, you're going to have an automated trade management strategy that we're going to program for you. It's our recommended. But if you want to go for the home run, you can. But it's not my methodology. So our recommended ATM, and I'm getting ahead of myself, it's a little bit different, but you can go for those big moves as long as this stays green. And again, now it gets so easy to define chop. Again, when it's red, only down. Finally, you've got stochastic. Now, stochastic is a really unique indicator, and it's also a momentum assessment, but it's a bounded indicator. And it really gives us a lot of different information, I think, than the MACD. So we included it in the system. Now, let me show you how the assessment works. If the stochastic line is overbought, which is greater than 80, the stochastic line on the two higher multiple time frames, and they're both above 80, the line's always going to be green. And if the stochastic line is oversold or less than 20 on the two higher time frames, the stochastic line will always be red. Now, one thing I would like, if there's only one thing I'd like you to take away from this, is that using divergent signals are going to crush you now. The market is almost every market is driven by institutional money. The big bank money, big brokerage firms, these computer-generated algos are what drive the market. And you know, and I know, that a market can be overbought for minutes, days, hours, days, or weeks. If you look to fade the market on a divergent signal, you're really going to get run over. Some work and some don't, and when you have a signal like that, you can't use it. It either works 80% of the time or greater, and you have an ability to assess risk on the entry, or you don't use it at all. And divergence is, believe me, is something that you should put on the scrap heap of history, simply because the market is now driven by institutional money. Now, when the oscillator is between 20 and 80, it's the position of the stochastic line above or below the signal line. When the stochastic line is above the signal line on both time frames, line is green. When the stochastic line is below the signal line, the line is red. And when they're not in agreement, you stand aside. So now you have three lines. Now, the MACD assessment is more complex than I told you. And I'm not going to key you in on all of what's going on the MACD line, because sometimes you're going to get a short trade with the MACD line yellow. But momentum really is decreasing. You just don't have a MACD crossover. So here's what I want to do. With all three lines in place, the bot can do the assessment really easily. But for you, and I think you want to learn how to trade this system on a discretionary basis, just because I think it's great for you to become a really good trader and augment whatever the automated system does. I mean, don't sit around in the room in the morning. We make really good money. Make additional money. So what we do is we project the results of the three-line indicator onto the candle halo. So all you've got to do is look at the halo. When the three lines align to the upside, you're going to get blue, and you're going to get a long trade. When it's blue on a pivot, you're going to get a long trade. When it's black on a pivot, the bot will not trade it long. When it's haloed in yellow or gold, the bot will trade it short. So the bot is analyzing order flow, stochastic, and momentum on a multi-time frame basis to determine direction. I have told you nothing about entries. All I've told you is about how the auto assesses one of the components the auto uses to assess absolute direction. And it's never going to trade against these three lines. Now you can make it even easier. And that is the slides that I messed up. And that is, we remove the whole three line. Now you can project it on your workspace. It doesn't matter. The algorithm of the auto system is still using it. But now you don't have to look at it. All you have to look at is the candle halo. And if you're trading this on this discretionarily, or you wonder why a trade was taken by the automated system, all you got to do is look at the candle halo. And you saw the kind of performance that was created by the system over the course of the last 6 weeks. And this is a new system. I can't give you 6 months of trading, and I'm not going to make up any data. It's been trading since October 1st through the 11th. That's the data we have. That's all the data I'm going to show you. So on your chart, though, you have the discretion of projecting the three line or making it transparent and just looking at the candle halos. But short entry, no entry. Now, for other reasons, the auto trader will not go long here. No trade here, but short here. And these are the two beautiful short trades, here and here. Now, I'm going to take off the slides, and I'm going to bring it to the system, which I have somewhere here. I have about 200 things open here. And let me just close this, and let me actually show you the software. Now, here's the software. Now, I didn't talk about, and I have slides for it, but I'll describe it. This is an exponential oscillator. And all we did was we took a regular stochastic and we raised it to the second power to give it a tremendous amount of speed. And every time the oscillator crosses this 50 line to the downside, you get a down triangle. And every time it crosses to the upside, you get an up triangle. And it's working with the three line, order flow, stochastic, and momentum. Now, in order to get a trade, this background bias, this color back here, must be either dark pink or dark green. The auto will not take a trade unless you've got that. Now, what it's doing is looking at the multi-time frame assessment of trend. Now, that's powerful, but it is not powerful enough to drive a system on its own. But without it, the system is sort of like an emperor with no clothes. It will not work. You have to trade a multi-time frame alignment and trend, or nothing else is really going to be operational. Now, there are different powers of down and up. You'll notice there's this bisque color, that's a down color. Light pink is a down color. The dark pink is the strongest downtrend. And if I had time here, I would show you what this represents in terms of those two higher time frame alignments. But it's looking at the slope of the 50, the slope of the 15, where price is in relation to it. It's doing a market structure price action assessment. And this is the strongest down color. And this is the strongest up color. Right here. The screen. And you'll notice that price, when you have an up color, cyan's pretty powerful, but it's not going to be good enough for the bot. The auto trader system has to have green. Price almost always rises. Right here, price rises. Right here, price rises. Now, when there's no multi-time frame assessment, we don't care. You're good. Sometimes the market makes a good move. You're not going to get every winner. If you try to get every winner and you trade with sensitivity, those are the traders that wind up losing their trading account. You have to trade with specificity. The other thing that I think is unique to this system is the pivots. Now, you cannot trade into an unbroken pivot. If you do, the likelihood of getting stopped out rises dramatically. So we have programmed this to only trade a pivot break right here. Now, why? Now, this is one of the entries. Why is it so important to trade a pivot break? And why is it such a great entry? And I'm going to show you all the configurable entries. All I want to do right now is just show you everything that's on the chart. It's because sitting in a pivot are a bunch of buyers. They turned the market previously. They're still there. And when 2/3 of a candle closes below it, it stops out all the buyers and helps push the trade down. This candle's haloed in magenta. You have order flow, stochastic, and momentum aligned to the downside, and you've got yourself an entry. And on the NASDAQ, it's a really nice trade. I'll scale it for you just to give you an idea of size. Now, full excursion of the trade is 9 points. And that's a darn good trade to take on an automated system. Will make you really nice money. We trade 3 contracts. We'll not trade into it because you're going to see it bounce, like right here, down. Now it's not an entry, and bounce. Down and bounce. Now we're only going to go long above the 50, only short below the 50. The bot is configured to look and make sure that on a long, the 50 is green, this 15 is green, and the 15 is crossed the 50 to the upside. Now we've added an additional component to this, which you can turn on or off depending upon how much specificity you want on the trade. And that is the RL trend. It's this line. Now, if I show you the system, and I'm not going to take the time right now to do it, there's a little box you can check. If you put an X in that box, it will use this trend line in addition. And what this is a measure of is it's a 15-period moving average combined with an ADR ADX component as a measure of volatility. And it's a tremendously powerful tool to help us. I mean, let me tell you, there's a lot of traders in the room listening to this webinar who are in my live room, and we make the NASDAQ black and blue. We crush it simply because of what helps us is this line. And what we want to see is an expansion of volatility as the trade continues. And we want to see separation between the 15 exponential and the trend line. And if that happens, it means price is moving up on increasing volatility. It's a terrific additional tool. If you want to trade with a little less specificity, you can turn that filter off. If you want to trade with more specificity, you're going to get less winners, but a higher win percentage. and we made that discretionary in terms of what you like. So these are the 3 entries that the system takes. And also, you can pick whether you want all 3 entries, or you only want to take one of them, or you want to take 2 of them, or you want to take all of them. Now, based on our assessment, I'm telling you so far, we don't have an enormous amount of data, but the best entry is a pivot break. When 2/3 of the candle closes above the pivot and snaps the pivot, and the candle's haloed in blue, and you've got the trend line accelerating away from the 15, and the bot is reading all of this, you're in here, and it's going to take the trade right up. It is not going to stop at a pivot. If you're in the trade, you've hit your first target. Now, here's the thing. It may hit your complete target and take you out of the trade, and maybe you're up $300. It's going to look to re-enter the trade again, because that's exactly what you have here, is another entry and an opportunity to take it long again. Now, there's one more constraint that's really important on the system, and that is how much space has been created between the 50 and the 15. As this space increases and price moves off the 50, there's a powerful force called regression to the mean. And that mean price in a bell-shaped curve is that average price in the middle. So as you move, it's really market structure and price action that defines overbought and oversold. And our recommended inputs are very tight. The trade's going to have to come close to the 50 with all of these parameters met in order for this to give you a long trade. Now remember, you can trade multiple markets at the same time. Now we have, I showed you crude, I showed you the E-mini, I showed you the NASDAQ, I showed you gold. I don't think I showed you the right NQ, because that was our killer, and I'm telling you, it made $10,000. And I don't want to go into the folder right now and pull out the right slide, but the NASDAQ was our cash cow. Gold, E-mini, and crude, because there's so many requirements to take a trade, it's a lot harder for them to meet it. So I'm going to show you the 3 entries. Now, I had them all laid out here somewhere, just so I wouldn't have to search for them. And they're probably MIA, and I'll find them again. But I'm going to show them to you. Here's entry number 1, and that is the pullback right here. Any wick that pulls back to support in a confirmed uptrend, green background, order flow stochastic and momentum, the trend is separating from the 15, meaning that volatility is increasing, gives you an entry and a move to the upside. Now, why is that pullback so important? On every trade we take on a discretionary basis, and every trade the bot takes, we want to leverage traders caught in the counter trend direction. And what does the wick tell us? I call this wick a bear failure, because the bears try to turn the market. They're caught in this wick, and it's going to help shove this trade up. It just so happened we got a second wick, and then after that it flew. That's one of the 3 entries. I'm not going to call it number 1. That's just one of the 3 entries. Entry number 2, I already discussed. and it's a pivot break. Now let me just find one. And the fact that I have to look for it is good, because if I could find you 100 of them, it's right here. And again, we're leveraging all the traders caught here in this pivot that help push this trade down. That's entry number 2. And then entry number 3 is an oscillator entry. One of the triangles. But remember, all the requirements for an entry must be met. And they're not going to be 100 of them on a chart. You see right here, well, that's really not a trade. I don't want to take a trade with the most specificity. And right here, nope, here it is, right here. Well, it's wrong background bias. We'll find one eventually. And you know what the thing is? I don't care if it takes, if we get 2 entries on the NASDAQ a day, as long as they work is all that matters to me. I mean, here's a great pull. Now, it just doesn't meet it because of the pink background. And obviously it's tough to find. And let me keep looking. I don't know if that's going to make it. Because the other thing that the bot will not do is it will not trade into an unbroken pivot. Let me take this out. So it looks ahead, and if it sees this pivot up here, it will stand down and not take the trade and wait for the pivot break. And if all the criteria are met, then it's going to trade. Now, if you have the filter on of the RL trend, this will not be an entry. If you don't have the filter on, there's your oscillator entry right there for a long trade here. And that's a nice trade. So the filter makes it a lot more difficult for the system to take a trade, but it's going to eliminate some of the noise. And I don't know why I can't find a nice oscillator entry, because we get them a lot, and always when you look, they're missing. Hang on a second. I don't even see them on here now. Hold on a minute. Let me make sure they're here. Hang on. I don't see any oscillator entries here. Hold on. See, there's a lot of entries here, but they just don't meet the criteria for the bot. Let me see if I can find one. And I may not be able to. And if I don't, I don't. I mean, it is not it's not critical. Except I had a whole bunch of them, and now they've gone MIA. Hold on a second here. Let me take a look at crude. And you're going to get a different template for crude. And it's going to change all of these things that I have to change on my own are going to change for you automatically. And obviously, it's a complex system, so it's not going to be. Now here's crude, and I have to change the speed of the background bias, and that will all be done automatically for you. And let's look for an oscillator entry. Here we go. Now, this oscillator entry, this triangle, will not be taken because it's into a pivot, but the system will take the next candle. And if that doesn't work, it'll take the pivot break. And there's your entry right there. Here you're just off by one candle for the pink background on the oscillator entry, short. So here we're going to get a bunch of them. Let's see if I can find another one. Let me open this up. See, without this filter, which is the trend, you've got to trade. It all depends upon how the degree of specificity you want with the trade. This shows flat volatility, but the market shoots up anyway. It's going to happen. Here, there's a tremendous expansion in volatility. Then volatility, and that's how the market works. Expanding and contracting volatility. Here's your oscillator signal. It's gonna wait for the break of the pivot right here and take you short. I'm just looking for one where it just gives you a free and clear trade, and just hard to find. But it isn't important because you've got 3 configurable entries. Now let me go back to the dashboard and go to new strategy. It's coming up slow. And let me just show you a little bit of the properties. Now, here are the 3 entries. If I can find them. Oops, here's the algo. There's the oscillator entry. There's the pivot break entry. There's the pullback to the wick entry. This is the MA diff that we configure for you. How far off the 50 we want the system to trade. Obviously on and off time. You want a session loss limit. You can put it in here. We set up some of the multiple time frames here. So this allows us to configure it. Now, as part of this, and it's not in this, is the ATM. Now, you can trade this on any automatic trade management strategy you want. Now, we're going to give you a recommended trade management strategy that's really quite conservative. On crude, we trade 2 contracts. We take one off at 7 and one off at 15 to make for 220 bucks. But remember, the system will look to re-enter immediately if you hit both targets. Today I had a 33 tick trade on crude. On the NASDAQ, we take all 3 off at 3 points and then look to re-enter again. Now you can change that if you want to look for a big runner. Now here's one of the most unique features of the system. And one of the things that's going to save you an enormous amount of money on a loser and make you a huge amount of money on a winner if you're willing to take the risk. And I'm just going to use this as an example. You can close on a reversal candle. That is not any kind of configurable exit that you can ever find on any other system. Whatever the system is, it may trail the trade by whatever. It may have a variable stop. But on Unirenko, as long as the market continues to rise and you don't get a reversal candle, now this is going to take you out. But that's the only system I've ever seen that will close you out on a reversal. So if you're lucky enough to get a runner, and that runner is programmed to exit on a reversal candle, this would be a gigantic trade. Here's your exit, your entry. You're going to be out one tick below the close here, and you're going to get 58 ticks on that trade. I mean, if you trade two contracts, one on a runner, I mean, that's a $600 to $700 trade. So the exit can be taken on a reversal candle. That's an optional exit, but that's my recommendation because it's a stellar exit. So that's really the system in a nutshell. You saw the equity curve that it creates, and it's very, very specific. Whether you want to add this line, which is a volatility measurement, is very important. Oh, and there's one other that I forgot to show you. I knew I would come close to forgetting it, and I didn't even put it in the template. And this is also unique. No, it's not that. Hold on. Let me find it here. Here it is. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, this shows you the number of contracts crossing on crude per minute. Now, if you had the bot on right now, would you want it to trade? There's no volume. And because there's no volume, there's no power behind the market sentiment expressed in all of these indicators. So what we do is we have a volume threshold. And unless there's a certain amount of contracts crossing per minute, it's got to be 500 contracts crossing per minute on crude. If there aren't, it will not take a trade. It's 400 contracts crossing per minute on the NASDAQ. But it's 800 contracts crossing per minute on the E-mini. So it's the only system I've ever seen that does its own monitoring of volume. And if the market has really lousy volume, you just don't want the system to trade. Now, the only thing that you really have, and that's a very, very powerful component of the system, allows it, even on a great entry, if you're trading this kind of volume, you want to take that trade? There's about 8 people trading the market right now. So all this market sentiment is useless because it's based on hardly anybody trading the market. You want to have nice, robust volume when you take a trade. The only time I would recommend that you turn it off, and it can't be pre-programmed, you can actually, is you go into Forex Factory every day, like you have to turn it off before crude inventory on crude, because crude goes crazy. If there's going to be a major financial announcement at 10 a.m., to turn it off, because it's going to go crazy. If on a Fed 2 p.m. meeting, you have to shut it off because it's going to go crazy. So you have to do a little bit of due diligence on it. Now, we didn't turn it off on the last Fed meeting, and it knocked out 3 winners in a row in about 30 seconds. It took a winner on the Dow, the E-mini, and the NASDAQ at the same time. But that's not the way we want to trade. I mean, it could have easily taken 3 losers. So you have to watch. You have to watch the news, and every now and then, just like a discretionary trader, if you're in a trade and Trump pops a tweet, it may push your trade an enormous amount in your direction. And if you're looking for a runner, you can get $1,000 trade, or it may knock you right out of the trade. Now remember, you're going to get knocked out on a reversal candle, which will significantly limit your losses. So that's really the system. I hope it makes sense to you. Now let me show you the offer that we're making. It got all really small all of a sudden, didn't it? Now you don't have to trade it on Unorenco. Like I said, you can trade it on time, tick, range, whatever you like. You can trade it on any time frame. We'll configure the template for you and set it up. If the forces that move price and the entries that govern price entries are not universal, then there's something wrong with the system. So it doesn't make any difference. This will work on Forex, it'll work on stocks, and it'll work on futures. And it'll work on any time frame that you like. We're just going to have to work on your template and all of those parameters to create a template for you. We're in the process of banging out a YM template, a 6E template, a 6J template, additional templates to give you the ability to trade more markets. Now, let me just show you the offer, because I think I've just about run out of time, and I don't want to take up more time than I'm supposed to. I just have to find the slide. And since I have 5,000 slides here, let me just locate it. Hang on one sec. I've got it. Okay, here's the offer. Now the regular price is $3,000, and we're going to get, as part of the webinar, we're going to give it to you for $17.99 lifetime. That means that it comes with the complete, not only with the entries, but you get the software, so that being in the trading room with me for 2 months, you're going to learn how to trade the software, not just on the automated end, but if you want to, you can trade on the discretionary end. Either way, you've got that option, you've got that option. Secondly, this morning, I know 2 or 3 days this week we were done in half an hour. I mean, we hit our profit target and we're done. I usually spend at least an hour every session teaching. I mean, I would bet 50 to 60% of the time in the trading room is done teaching, because we usually hit our profit target fast. And in the last 8 sessions, we've only had 1 losing session, and we're up a lot of money. And really, if you have faith in the system, the amount of money you make is totally up to you, because you can add contracts. I just keep the number of contracts I trade small so that everyone in the room can keep up with me. We have 175 traders. Now, I trade with Chart Trader Up. I don't just call out a number. I take the trade, I execute it, and everyone in the room, and like I said, I have a lot of traders from the live trading room there. It sets up my entry, it sets up my stop, it sets up my targets, and at the end of the session, we go through every single trade. I show the profit or loss. Nothing disintegrates or evaporates when we trade. I show everything. It's incredibly transparent. So it comes, and you get the software package. And again, it can be used on any market. Now, right now, it's only available on Ninja 8. You get training videos free. All upgrades that we make, you get for free. You're going to get a lot of educational material, and the strategies, which are those templates, are included. So, and we're going to make those strategies for you. Right now we have 4. You're going to get those, and we're going to build them out. We're going to build a bond. We're going to build a note. We're going to build a 6E. Somebody asked me for natural gas. We'll have them all. And if you have a unique time frame that you want to use, we'll build it for you. Now, we are only offering 25 systems. And I'll tell you why. It's not any marketing nonsense. It's because 95% of the traders are going to use our recommended entries. They're not going to change them. And the entry is going to be the exact same number for everyone. And I know we're going to have people that trade 10 contracts, 15 contracts, 20 contracts. And if we put them all on the system, they're going to clog up the entry, and everyone's going to get slippage. Now, we had 9 traders in my room already pre-purchased it before I even showed them any info. So we have 16, and that's it. Now, in order, if you're interested, you can call us at 786-732-4656. You can email info@rightlinetrading.com or Skype rightlinetrading.com. And you'll speak to Rory, and Rory will be available till about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. And you'll have the opportunity to purchase it if you'd like. Now, let me answer any questions that there are. Okay, hang on one second here. Okay, all righty. Hey, Gregory. All right, I know, I thank you guys. If you change the bias colors, would the system be able to? Absolutely. I'm using your last name, Vic, but the background bias colors are all at your discretion. The candle halo is at your discretion. That's not part of the algorithm. The algorithm is that multi-time frame alignment that projects on my screen pink. It doesn't make any difference what color it projects on yours, Vic. You can change those colors. Everything in terms of color and style are configurable. It's not going to make any difference in terms of the system. Hey, James. Hey, Brian. The initial stop loss on the auto depends on the market, Brian. On crude, it's 13 ticks. On the E-mini, it's 11 ticks. On the NASDAQ and Dow, it's 25 ticks. But you're almost never going to take that loss because of your close on a reversal. So you're usually going to get a significant break, even if the trade only goes a few ticks in your direction. But you shouldn't see many losers. And we have not seen many losers this month. But that reversal candle gives you a tremendous advantage on a trade that for some reason just doesn't go your way. I remember I took a trade on crude. I think it's either crude or the NASDAQ. That was just perfect. And it was an algorithmic trade entry too, and it just didn't go. So the reversal candle really helped us out. Hey, John. No, the auto does not require a separate dedicated brokerage account. You can trade it with the same account you have. As just be prepared, John, that I may take the same trade as the auto, and you may be in the trade twice. So if you want to take both entries, since it's coming out of the same account, you're going to have enough margin. So that's the only thing I would warn you, but you do not need a dedicated brokerage account. Hey, Brian. The profit targets on the auto trader, I kind of went over them really quickly, Brian. Our profit target on the NASDAQ is only 3 points, which makes us $180 on the trade. And man, let me tell you, we knocked those out like borscht. And I'm telling you, the people in the trading room know that's true. We bang them out. And let me tell you, we really give the NASDAQ a thrashing. It's our cash cow market. Now, and the thing is, that's not looking for a big runner. But what I do is, as soon as I'm out of the trade, I look to enter on the next candle, because that down close that takes me out gives me a great opportunity to re-enter on the next up close. So if I'm not way off the 50, I'm going to go right back in again. Many times this week, I took 2 trades in the same move. I got 180 out on a reversal, right back in for another 180. If you want to go for the runner, you can. That's just my recommended suggestion. Hey, Christopher. The template settings, Christopher, will be, whatever you want to trade, we'll work with you. Don't worry about it. Just, as long as you don't ask us for 27 templates, if you have a specific future or Forex market or a stock that you're really fond of or a couple of stocks, we'll make you the templates for them. Don't worry about that. Hey, Hero. We're going to build the FX templates, Hero. We're going to build 12 FX templates. And this trade's great on the FX because momentum, stochastic, order flow, the multi-time frame alignment and trend, all of these things move Forex just like they move futures. There's no difference. And if you come aboard and you want to trade the Forex, all you got to do is tell us what Forex pairs you want to trade. We'll give you our recommended settings and we'll create the templates for you. Optimal account size, Aslam, if you just trade the bot alone, I would say about $3,500 to $4,000. And that even may be on the high side because like I said, I only trade a small number of contracts and the default setting for crude and gold are only going to be 2 contracts. Now, I know they're going to be people who buy it are going to set it for 10, but that's $2,000 of margin, and the 3 contracts on the NASDAQ and Dow are 500 each. Everything else is small, so that's plenty of money. And if you trade the Forex, the margin's even smaller. So that's plenty of money. Hey, Rob. Oh, yeah. All the colors can be changed and configured. I can just show you really quickly. If I go to the indicators and I open them up real quickly, unless I go to the bias, you see how these colors are all sit like this. You can put any color you want into any of these. If you look at order flow or our 3-line indicator, where is it here? The candle halo color can be changed. The thickness can be changed. Every single color on the chart can be changed. It will have no effect on the bot. Bot doesn't look at the color. It looks at everything else. So don't worry about that. I mean, that's just not a factor. Hey, John. Yes. I got you. Okay. Hey, Chris, I love what you do. I just bought your system. Yes, Chris. Just call us and we will do it for you. I mean, Chris just asked me if I would do him a favor, and the answer is yes. Hey, Christopher. Will it be template settings for the give? Yes. Christopher, you're going to get the settings for all the futures markets you want. We released it with only 4. What we're going to do over the course of the next few days is just bang out all those templates. That's going to have Sergio do over the weekend. If you can think of a futures market, we will add it. And like I said, we're going to add the 6E, the 6J. We're going to add the Russell. We're going to add all those templates, and you're going to get them very, very, very shortly. Only the system is trading so well right now and creating such a stellar equity curve on the 4 markets that we have. I decided to release it. And I would only ask you this, Christopher. Do you really need more markets if you have that kind of equity curve? And as God is my witness, those are all true numbers taken right off of the NinjaTrader back end. I mean, if you could create $10,000 in profit on the NASDAQ, and I'm telling you that's what it is, 2,000 on crude, 2,500, 2,500 on gold, and about 2,500 on the E-mini. If you want to go to more markets, no problem. But boy, I would be awfully happy with that. Hey, Rian. Sure, you can have the auto on one account and you can have the discretionary trading on the other. Or you can trade them both out of one account. Hey, Ronald. Sure, it absolutely trades the MNQ. The same template. Not a problem. Hey, Christopher. Absolutely, Christopher. You can trade your own contract size. That's why we're limiting, honestly, again, this is not to get you to purchase. If we sell all 25, you're not going to see this available again for a very, very, very long time, because I don't want to ruin the entries. And I know there are going to be traders who on the NASDAQ, or on the E-mini, for instance, are going to trade a 20 lot. I don't want those targets stuffed up. And Rory and I and Sergio are trading it too. So we want to make money. No, Tariq, we know all of them. I mean, if you trade the NASDAQ, you're going to trade a 13 range. If you trade the Russell and crude and gold, you're going to trade an 8 range. Those are recommendations. If you trade the E-mini, you trade a 5 range. We have all those numbers, and we have all the configurations. The only thing that's holding us back right now is the time to build them. You can trade range. You can trade tick. I personally don't like tick, but I like range, and we have all the range settings. So you're not stuck on Unarenko, believe me. Hi, Hero. No problem, Hero. Yeah. Well, the reversal candle is going to be determined. If you're trading an 8 range, you're going to be out on an 8 range reversal. I mean, it will take you out on whatever you're trading on a reversal candle. But again, that's also discretionary. The reversal candle exit is something that you have to decide you want. And you click the button, and that's the reversal you take. You're not forced into taking it. These are all configurable. The thing that it will take that you can't change if you leave those 3 dots, those 3 checks in, is it'll take a pivot break, it'll take a pullback with a wick, or it will take an oscillator signal, a triangle, if all the other criteria are met. If you don't want to take all 3 of those entries, you can just unclick them. But I recommend to take them all, because they're all good entries. We have not found any difference between the 3, or we get rid of it. Hey, Brian. For Ninja 7, eventually, Brian. But listen, I so strongly recommend you go to 8. It's such a better platform, and we'll do it for you. We'll put your system on 8 for you. We'll download 8 for you. We'll put the auto trader on 8 for you. I swear to you, I was on 7 forever, and I had to have my arm twisted and my knee. I had to be putting thumb screws. And the best decision I ever made was to go to 8. It's got such tremendous advantages to 7. Now, it's not going to get you better entries, but in terms of configurability, it's just really a better platform. But we'll eventually move it down to 7. We're always going to support 7. Hey, Steve. No, you call us, Steve. That is not it, right? Okay? You just call Rory. He'll talk to you. We got you covered. Hey, Christopher. Listen, I like the NQ and I like CL too. I love the NQ. I mean, that's been our cash cow. It's been the cash cow on the auto because it gives us so many great entries. It's got great volatility. And listen, volatility is what a day trader and swing trader, that's their food. I mean, without volatility, we can't trade. And even this has been a really lousy market. The markets with the most volatility have been crude, gold, and the NASDAQ. So those are three great markets to trade. I can't watch more than two. And I miss great gold trades all the time, and I'm not going to miss them anymore. We'll add nat gas, Ron. No problem. No problem. I'll put that on our short list. Hey, Eric. You're funny, Eric. I don't even know. Rory's in there, and I honest to God, people are ordering, and I don't know how many. I'm sure we don't have until 25. How many, Rory? We have 13 sold. So we had 9. We've sold another 5, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've sold, I think, 4 or 5 more. Hey, doctor. Great job. We only need other. Yeah, you're right. And I totally agree with you. The reason the advantages of a bot and an auto trader is it can watch 7 markets at the same time. And that's really the key. As long as it trades with tremendous specificity, like I said, any auto trader can get winners. What sets the auto traders apart are their ability to avoid losers and chop. That's what makes the difference. And I'm telling you, it's very tough to get this trader caught up in chop because it's really tough to get a great entry. And that's all we want, are just a few good entries a day. And I'm telling you, on a few good entries a day, on a few good markets, you can make an enormous amount of money. And when you develop a lot of confidence in the system, you just increase your contract size. Yes. No, I know it does. And I'm going to read Vic's thing. It says you're only good. No, we're going to sell 25, and we're not going to sell more. I know he says it sounds like BS because you're in the business, and we are in the business of selling software, Vic. But what makes us different is that we trade it. I trade it every morning live. I don't sell it and then go hide under a rock. I mean, everyone in my live training room knows it, and I'm right out in front of what I do. And we don't release a system unless it works. And I'm telling you, it's my feeling that if we sell more than 25, it's going to destroy the system. And I'm not going to do that. So I think 25 is an upside amount. So that's really all we're going to sell. And that's it. And I think that, some people will, we'll get attrition. Some will drop out. Some will stop trading. And, periodically spaces will open. But that's it. And I agree with you. Most of the time it's baloney. But it's not baloney here. I'm telling you the truth. Hey, Stephen. Hey, thank you, Eric. Eric, I miss you so much. He says, hi, Guru Mark. Very good job. Congrats. Now waiting the installation. Thank you so much, Eric. Eric, I miss you. I'm having withdrawal symptoms. I would not have any idea. We configure it for you, Rob. Do not worry about the configuration. Sergio has a master's degree in computer programming. He's full-time here. He comes in at 7:30 in the morning. 8:30. This is fully configured for you. You don't have to do anything. If I had to configure this myself, I wouldn't have had to do it either. So you and I are in the same boat. I tell him what I need, but he makes it. And once he makes it, he configures it. Hey, Rob. Remember, Rob, the worst you can lose is a reversal candle. That's your maximum loss on a trade. So if you're trading, say, an 11 range E-mini, and it goes 3 or 4 or 5 ticks in your direction, that reversal candle is going to be very painless. I'm telling you. If you get a trade on crude on a 13 tick stop, and your first target's 7 and it goes 5, and you get a reversal, you're not going to be happy. I'm never happy when I get a loser, but it's not going to, your head's not going to explode. That's the point of that reversal stop. That's why I don't like trades where you have those dots way above, and it may get you a further move, but you just don't want to take the risk of taking a $300 or $400 loss. And a reversal candle gives you a very modest loss, and you're still in the game. And remember, the number one goal of a trader, no matter what they do, long-term, short-term, swing, day, is capital preservation. So you want to preserve the capital you have. And that's what the system is geared to do. Protect your money. And then goal number 2 is to make you money. And that's how we configured it. You're never going to get big drawdowns. Just speak to Cross, Rory. He'll tell you, and you'll be happy. Hey, Chris. Yeah, it's made, Chris, I swear to you, it's made money every day this week. Rory's on the phone, and he's got all the numbers. Today, we read them into the room, every trade. It took a NASDAQ loser. It took a crude winner. It took a break-even bond trade. On the day, it took a couple of winners after we closed. I don't know what it finished at, but I think it finished over $500 today. Trading just a small number of contracts. Wednesday, you're asking about Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday, you already know the numbers. We read them into the room every day. Hey, doctor. You're right. I mean, that's the thing. The auto trader, that's kind of what I put in some of the creatives I wrote. It doesn't, there's no human error involved. It doesn't stress out. And the biggest problem I have, I don't want this to run too long, is the fact that when I get a really frustrated loser, I tend to chase the next winner, and it really hurts me. Like last week, I had my domes. I wanted to take a long trade on the NQ, and I pressed the button, and I took a long trade on crude. So I had to set up the wrong instrument. Now, it didn't execute the crude trade, but I missed the NQ trade. And it just bothered me so much that the next trade I took was horrible. And I wanted to hide. And that's what this eliminates. And as dispassionate as you can be, every now and then, it jangles your nerves a little bit. Thank you so much, Khalid. As your student that bought the last year's version edition, thank you. And just give us a call, Khalid, and we'll take care of you. And thank you for being in my room every day. And Philip, thank you. Thank you, Professor Mark, for giving me this fantastic opportunity of a lifetime. God bless you. And God bless you, Philip. You're a great guy. Hey, doctor. It's recorded. Yes. And we have to chop it up because it's on one loop, I think, on not all 8 people. But we'll get it out to you tomorrow. We can't do it tonight. I was going to snag it, and I forgot to snag it, which would have given us a unique one. So you're going to have to wait a little for the replay, but you're going to get it, doctor. Hey, Damon. Is it safe to say my 218 Auto Trader purchase? It is still valid, yes. Yep. Okay, everyone, listen, thank you so much. Just give us a call. We'll be here. If you get answering services because Rory's on the phone, it's my pleasure, doctor, really. And listen, I just, as everybody I think who presented, we just want to make you money. And there are lots of different ways of doing it. But like I said, I'm right out there in front every morning. I mean, the NYSE opens at 9:30, and usually they're 9:30 plus 1 second. I mean, this morning I had to clean up. My cat vomited on the floor. I was home cleaning up vomit. I had come here at 900 miles an hour to get the NYSE open. But that's the way it is. Thank you, David. Thank you for I really believe in this system, and that those equity curves I can swear to you are absolutely true. So listen, have a great afternoon or great evening now. Have a nice dinner, and I look forward to seeing you in the trading room for 2 months. I'm telling you, I am going to make you money because I kill myself in there to do it. Because it's really important to me that all my traders in that trading room come away with loot. And I take every trade with Chart Trader. There's incredible transparency. Hey, thank you to DH. So have a wonderful evening. And thanks for giving me your time. Bye-bye, everybody.